What's the best joke you know? As a Finn, I have a special fondness for Russian Soviet political jokes. A new arrival to Gulag is asked, "What were you given 10 years for?" "Saw for nothing." "Saw don't lie to us here." "Comrade. Everybody knows for nothing is 3 years." A judge walks out of his chambers laughing his head off. A colleague approaches him and asks why he is laughing. "I just heard the funniest joke in the world." "Well, go ahead. Tell me," says the other judge. "I can't, so I just gave someone 10 years for it." Double quote. "Doc, you gotta help me. I can't stop singing What's New Pussycat." Double quote. "Ah. That sounds like Tom Jones syndrome." Double quote. "Is it common?" Double quote. "It's not unusual." Double quote. A proctologist walks into a bank. He needs to sign a document. He tries to sign, but he pulls a thermometer out of his shirt pocket. "Oh shit. Some asshole has my pen." Double quote. "Not mine. I went to a beekeeper to get 12 bees. He counted and gave me 13. Sir, you gave me an extra. That's a freebie." My personal favorite. An Englishman, a Frenchman, and a Russian are looking at a painting of Adam and Eve. The Englishman admires the painting and says, "Look at them. Calm, reserved, and proper. Surely they are English." Double quote. The Frenchman laughs and replies, "They are naked and beautiful. There is no doubt they would be French." Double quote. The Russian slowly shakes his head. "My friends, they are definitely Russian. No clothes, no house, no possessions. They have only an apple to eat and they are told this is paradise." Double quote. A Soviet Communist Party official was giving a Westerner a tour of the Russian countryside. All the while he was bragging about how loyal Soviet citizens were to the communist cause. To demonstrate, he approaches a farmer and asks, "Comrade, if you own 2 houses, would you donate one to the party?" Double quote. "Absolutely," replies the farmer. "And if you own 2 tractors, would you donate one to the party?" Double quote. "Oh, yes," replied the farmer. Double quote. "And if you own 2 cows, would you donate one to the party?" Double quote. "Not a chance," replied the farmer. Surprised, the party official asks, "Why not?" Double quote. "Because I actually own 2 cows," replied the farmer. Surprised, the party official asks, "Why not?" "Because I actually own 2 cows." 3 prisoners in a gulag talk. 1. "So why are you here?" 2. "My clock was early, so I came to work early and they said I was spying." You? 1. "My clock was late, so I came to work late and they said I was running anti-state propaganda at home." Hey, what about you? 3. "My clock was on time, so they said I smuggled it from the West." Speaking of Russian politics, I always found this joke very amusing. Russian Prime Minister Medvedev comes to President Putin and nervously tells him to abolish time zones. Why? Putin asks, "I fly to another city, call home and everyone is asleep. Last time I called Angela Merkel to congratulate her on her birthday and she tells me she has it tomorrow. Or I wished the Chinese president a happy new year, and he says it was already yesterday." Indeed. Putin replies, "But that's only a minor issue. Remember when that Polish plane crashed with the president? I called them to express my condolences, but the plane hadn't even taken off yet." Double quote. A man leaves Stalin's office and curses quietly, "That fucker with a mustache." Unfortunately, a security officer overhears him. He takes him to Stalin and says, "I overheard that man say that fucker with a mustache." Stalin asks, "Who are you thinking about?" And the man quickly answers, "Well, Hitler, of course." Stalin looks at the officer. "And who were you thinking about?" Double quote. Russian jokes are the absolute best. A man sees someone else walking down the street with one barefoot. "What happened? Did you lose a boot?" he asks. "No." The other guy responds with excitement, "I found one." Double quote. Two Russians are drinking vodka. They sit in absolute silence for 8 hours. Just sipping their vodka. After 8 hours of silence, one of the Russians says, "Good vodka." Double quote. The other Russian shouts back, "Are we talking or drinking?" Double quote. Private Petrov's mother died and the top brass told his drill sergeant to inform him. But do it delicately. On the next day the sergeant gathers the entire platoon and shouts, "Privates, everyone, WHO has a mother. Move 2 steps to the front." Petrov, where the hell are you going? Double quote. The Soviet housewife goes to town to buy bread. She waits online for 2 hours. And when she finally gets to the counter she sees the shelves are completely bare. Frustrated, she asks the shopkeeper, "Are you completely out of bread?" Double quote. And the shopkeeper says, "No. I'm sorry. We're out of meat. The store with no bread is next door." Double quote. What did the sign on the door of the brothel say? "Beat it. We're closed." Double quote. A man goes to a funeral. He asks the widow if he could say a word. He goes to the front and says plethora and sits back down. The widow leans over and whispers thanks. That means a lot. Double quote. Edit. Thank you everyone. I gladly will add on your lines when I retell this joke. You have all made my day brighter. How do you spot a blind man in a nudist camp? It's not hard. Q. How do you spot the most popular guy in a nudist camp? A. He'll be carrying a dozen donuts and 2 cups of coffee. Q. How do you spot the most popular girl? A. She'll be the one who can get the last donut. 3 men went to hell. And they stood before the devil. The devil asked the first man, "What did you do for a living?" Double quote. The man answered, "I was a lumberjack." Double quote. The devil said, "Then we will chop your penis off." He turned to the second man, asking the same question he asked the first. "I was a fireman," said the second man. "Then we will burn your penis off," said the devil. He turned to the third man, asking the same question he asked the other 2. The third man thought about it and finally answered the devil, "I was a lollipop salesman." Double quote. A boss had 2 employees, Alice and Jack. He only needed one, but they were hired at the same time and were both equally good at their job. He couldn't decide which to get rid of. He was sitting at a bar thinking about the situation. Alice walks in and sits beside him and asks, "You seem down. What's wrong?" Double quote. The boss said, "I need to either lay you or jack off." Double quote. Alice says, "Well, please jack off. I'm tired." Double quote. 2 guys are walking down the street when they see a dog licking his balls. One guy says, "I wish I could do that." Double quote. The other replies, "Dot. Well, maybe just try petting him first." Double quote. Was posting in a general chat sub on a baseball message board. Someone posts an article saying oral sex has been linked to throat cancer. One of the guys replies, "Well, there goes my Father's Day gift idea." To which I replied, I'm sure he would have appreciated it. Maybe just get him a tie instead. Why does the Little Mermaid wear seashells? Because she's too big for bee shells. Edit. Had no idea this was gonna blow up. Thanks all of you for all the awards. The divorce court judge says to Mickey, "Now let me get this straight, Mr. Mouse. You want a divorce from your wife Minnie because she's crazy?" And Mickey says, "No. I never said she was crazy. I said she was f***ing goofy." Double quote. Doctor. I swallowed a pen. Well, sit down and write your name. I went to the zoo and saw a baguette in a cage. I asked the zookeeper about it, and he told me it was bred in captivity. A man sat down at a bar and told the bartender, "I bet you $300 that I can piss into the cup all the way over there on the other side of the bar and not miss a single drop." The bartender said, "There is no way you can do that." "Sure. I'll bet you $300. The man then begins to undo his pants and begins pissing. He starts pissing all over the bar, spraying on the bottles and the bartender, not making a single drop in the cup. The bartender starts smiling and laughing and says, "That's it. You owe me $300. The man then gets up and walks over to the pool table and starts laughing and shaking hands with the men standing there. He walks back to bar, sits down and starts laughing at the bartender and hands him the money. The bartender asks, "Why are you laughing? You just lost the bet." The man said, "I'm laughing because I bet those guys over there $1,000 that I could piss all over you and your bar and you would still be laughing when I was done." Double quote. What's the difference between a slob on a bicycle and a well-dressed individual on a unicycle? Attire. I walked into the pharmacy and asked for some deodorant. The bull kind? Double quote. Just for under the arms is fine. I had a song stuck in my head the other day and kept singing it out loud. My wife finally broke down and screamed, "Will you please stop singing Wonderwall?" I said, "Maybe." "I hear you, dude." I was humming the chorus to "I'm a Believer" around the house the other day when my wife suddenly screamed at me to knock it off. This was really out character for her, so I just assumed she was joking. Then I saw her face. Edit. If you're spending money on these awards, please give it to a cancer charity instead. Thanks. A pair of hunters from Illinois are out in the woods. Whilst descending a hill, one of them suddenly cries out in pain and falls to the bottom, clutching his chest as he hit the ground. The other hunter rushes to his side as his friend noticeably stops breathing. Pulling out his phone, he quickly dials 911. After a few rings, the dispatcher picks up. 911, what is your emergency? Asks the dispatcher. The hunter replies, I am out near Route 51. My friend has a heart attack. I think he is dead. What do I do? Asks the hunter. The dispatcher replies, it is okay, sir. Can you calm down and make sure that he is dead? The hunter replies, okay. Double quote. The dispatcher hears some rustling over the phone, followed by the resounding boom of a 12 gauge. The hunter comes back on the line asking, okay, now what? Double quote. Joke is courtesy of my stepfather and his old drinking buddy. The men of many laughs. A penguin is on a long deserved vacation from the zoo. He decides to take a road trip out west, where his car breaks down. Luckily, it's right in front of a mechanic in town. He drops the car off and tells the mechanic he's going to get some lunch. It's a really hot day, so after eating he stops by the ice cream shop for a little treat. Walking back to his car, the mechanic tells the penguin, it looks like you blew a seal. Double quote. The penguin laughs. Oh. No, he said, as he wiped his mouth, it's just ice cream. Double quote. This guy sees a sign. Talking dog $5. He walks up and asks the man, does this dog really talk? Double quote. Owner. Yep. Bullshit. Dog. It's true. I can talk. Double quote. Man, holy shit. Double quote. Dog. Yeah. I started out in the circus as a sideshow, until the CIA found me. They recruited me as a spy. No one suspects the dog in the room is listening to state secrets. After 2 tours, I retired here in the country to live out my days. Double quote. Man. My god. Man. That is the most astounding thing I have ever heard. So, why the hell are you only selling him for $5? Double quote. Owner. Because that dog is a liar. He didn't do any of that shit. Double quote. A Chevy Silverado, a Ford F-150, a Ram 1500, a GMC Sierra, and a Toyota Tundra are driving in convoy. Best pickup line ever. One day 3 people were stuck on an island with cannibals. The cannibals said, if you do what we say, we won't kill you. So the 3 people followed the orders the cannibals. So the cannibals said, go into the forest and pick 10 fruits of the first fruit you see. So the first person came back out of the forest with 10 apples. The cannibals said, Put the apples up your ass without making a facial expression. The person then made a facial expression after the second apple. So the cannibals killed him. The second person came back out of the forest with 10 cherries. The cannibals said, "Put the cherries up your ass without making a facial expression." The person then started laughing on the 10th cherry. So they killed him. In heaven, the person with apples asked the person with cherries, "Why did you start laughing?" The person replied, "I saw the third person come out with pineapples." Real dad joke coming up. What's a pirate's favorite letter? Most proceed to say RRRR. You'd think it's the R but its first love is the C. Edit. Thank you for the Silver Stranger. Edit 2. Thank you for the Hugs Award. Edit 3. First gold. Thank you third kind stranger. Edit 4. A Rocket Life Award. Not sure what that is but thank you. My great grandfather retained his off the boat accent all his life. At one point, he was in a conversation with his wife and a friend. Giving the friend an address in New York. He said it was on Foster Avenue. No it isn't. His wife said, "Yes it is. Foster Avenue." Double quote. "Jack, it's in New York. The avenues have numbers." Double quote. He said, "Yeah. Foster. Second R. Third R. Foster Avenue." Double quote. An Englishman, a Frenchman, a Spaniard and a German are all standing watching an American street performer do some juggling. The juggler notices the four gentlemen have a very poor view. So he stands up on a wooden crate and calls out, "Can you all see me now?" Double quote. "Yes." Double quote. "OUI." Double quote. "S." Double quote. "Jar." Double quote. Stalin is sitting at his desk busy with paperwork when his assistant bursts into the room and says, "Comrade Stalin, there is a clairvoyant here that wants to see you. He claims he can see the future." Double quote. "Send him to Gulag," says Stalin. "If he could see the future he wouldn't have come here." Two cows are standing in a field. One turns to the other and says, "Did you hear about the mad cow disease going around?" The other cow responds, "Good thing I'm a helicopter." Double quote. A Buddhist walks up to a hot dog vendor and says, "Make me one with everything." Double quote. Bonus for philosophy nerds. Descartes walks into a bar. The bartender says, "Hey, Descartes, I just got this new import beer in. Want to try it?" Descartes says, "I think not." And he vanishes into thin air. I actually commented this on another AskReddit joke post so maybe you all will appreciate it more. One day a koala was feeling super horny. He walks out to the corner, finds a prostitute, and brings her back to a hotel room. He eats her out, wipes his mouth, and heads towards the door. The prostitute says, "Excuse me hun, I'm a prostitute. You gotta pay up. Look up prostitute in the dictionary, has SX for money." Double quote. The koala replies, "Look up koala in the dictionary, so eats bush and leaves." Double quote. What do you call a reverse exorcism? When the devil tells the priest to get out of the child. I have a joke I tell kids. I start with the interrupting cow knock knock joke. Knock knock. Who's there? Interrupting sloth. Slowly. Interrupting sloth who? Wait a few seconds. Not mine. But I think it belongs to my favorite ones. Doctor. Will I be okay? Double quote. I don't know. Mercury is in Uranus right now. I don't do astronomy, doc. Me neither. My thermometer just broke. It's best said in Dutch, but it works in English. What's the difference between a pro footballer and a prostitute? One's got a cracked muscle, the other a muscular crack. Wat is het verschil tussen een pro voetballer en een hoer? Die een heeft een geshed spear. Die ander een gespeerd schur. I was in the office today and the cleaning lady asked if I wanted to smoke weed with her after work. I turned her down. I don't really like high maintenance women. Here's a classic. So a grandpa takes his grandson out fishing. The grandpa pulls out a smoke and lights it. The kid asks, "Hey grandpa, can I have one?" And he says, "Does your DCK touch your ass?" And the kid says, "Well no," and grandpa says, "There's your answer. You're too young." Then grandpa pulls out some whiskey and takes a few pulls off the bottle. Kid asks, "Hey, could I have a drink of that grandpa?" And grandpa says, "Does your DCK touch your ass?" "Well, no it doesn't," says the kid. Grandpa says, "Well there's your answer." So the kid pulls out some cookies and starts snacking away on them, and grandpa says, "Gee kiddo, those cookies look pretty good. Could I have one?" So the kid says, "Does your DCK touch your ass?" And grandpa says, "Why yes it does." And the kid says, "Good. You can go FCK yourself then." Double quote. John walked into his local bar. Says hi to the lads and orders a pint. Takes a big slug and says to the lads, "Needed that. Long day down at the battered women's shelter. My arms are f***ing killing me." His mates think it's hilarious and go back to chatting. John stares into his pint, slightly hurt. He thought he'd done a really good job of putting in all those new shelving units and wardrobes. I have a knock knock joke, but you have to start it. I have no jokes. I managed to do this one on someone the other day. Me. I know a great knock knock joke. Double quote. Fried. Okay. Double quote. Me. Well go on. Give me a knock knock. Friend. Okay. Knock knock. Me. Who's there? Double quote. Friend. Okay. Knock knock. Me. Who's there? An elderly Holocaust survivor passes away after a long and productive life. He arrives in the afterlife and is told that due to his sacrifices, he gets to meet God immediately instead of having to wait. So he is very nervous as he meets God. He decides to break the ice by telling a joke. He tells a Holocaust joke. God does not laugh. The old man shrugs his shoulders and says, "I guess you had to be there." Double quote. 3 vampires in a clan are fighting over who of them is the best, and they decide to compete. The first runs into the nearby village and returns in 10 minutes. "See that house over there?" he says. "I drained the whole family." Double quote. The second vampire vanishes into the village and comes back in 5 minutes. "See the church over there?" he asks. "I drained everyone inside." Double quote. The third vampire heads out and comes back in 1 minute. Face covered in blood. "See that tree over there?" he asks. "I didn't." Double quote.